We just got a question from over here.
Greg, how do you rate Paul Radovich when you're talking of drivers?
Actually, I was just talking about him before at the table I was at, about Paul. He's certainly one of New Zealand's best ever produced race car drivers. There's no doubt about it. He's been done things in his career that I think just about everyone would be very envious of, no doubt. And his unfortunate the last couple of years, I think last year when he had the accident at Bathurst, there was the entire field was really devastated by what had happened to him, because he has a lot of respect, has a lot of respect in the motor racing fraternity. So Paul's a fantastic driver. He's a huge ambassador for this country as far as motor racing goes.
Are there any more questions while there's one over here? Oh, just start on the corner there. Okay, next time.
Hi, Paul. Over the years, when you've been racing, have you ever been in the lead in a race, had to make a pit stop, and the crew have made a faux pas which put you behind?
Sorry, the last bit?
Have the crew ever made a faux pas that's put you back in, in the field?
Yeah, no, that's happened. That's happened on too many occasions, actually. One, for example, was the Queensland 500, which took over from the Sandown 500 for a few years throughout early part of this decade. Myself and Todd Kelly were leading that race, actually, and there was a very small miscalculation with how much fuel we needed to get to the finish of the race, and my car ran out of fuel while leading with a lap to go, and we didn't make the finish. So that has happened. I mean, that is really the toughest, one of the toughest scenarios, obviously, to be involved in. But
I know you wear your emotions on your sleeve a lot. Do you get really?
Not really. I mean, I thought.
Oh, you do.
Fairly quiet young chap.
Let other people judge you. You do. I mean, do you get really uptight and hold it in when that happens, or do you go and have it out with the team straight away? No, because they're not intentionally making a mistake.
And you can't go blaming people. That's. And I don't think I've ever done that. You're obviously extremely disappointed. I mean, I'm just extremely disappointed that things like that happen. I'm not going to just go and smile like some blokes do and go, oh, well, that's the way it goes. It's more important to me than
because
that.
Because it's your competitive nature anyway.
And that's my career. That's what I do. So, some people don't like it. They think that you should be happy and joyful no matter what happens. Well, that's when it's your career, and when you set out to do things and you want to achieve and you set goals, it's sometimes difficult to put on a happy face when there's absolutely no reason to be. So that's just my approach. And you're fortunate in many ways to have managed to be a motor racing driver. I think it's I'm very fortunate to have done that. But it's also taken a lot of hard work and a lot of hard effort and dedication and sacrifices and all that kind of stuff, and not just by me but by my family as well. So it's important. It's very important.
I think we're all very lucky we got you on a good day then. There's one question there, and then we'll come just over here. There's a question, gentleman there, and then a young guy over here.
Greg, when you turn up to the racetrack and a car's, you've obviously got a big team of guys setting up the car. Some drivers turn up, they just drive, that's all they do. The engineers do everything, and the car's good or bad. The other end of the spectrum is sort of like a Larry Perkins who could almost do it on his own. Where do you fit in there? Do you take a big interest in setup? Or?
Oh, we have to. There's no doubt about that. I think these days it probably, the importance has got greater and greater over the period that I've been involved on working together. But every team that I've ever been involved in, the importance of working very closely with the engineer. I mean, and the teams I've been have employed engineers to do a very intricate, important job. But part of that job was always working with the driver to make sure that relationship is as good and as close as possible, and the understanding between them is as clean and clear cut as possible. And the last couple of years have been incredibly challenging for myself and my engineers working together, because we obviously haven't achieved anything that we set out to achieve in the last couple of seasons. And you'll always have people that think that they know why that's the case, and you get written off for all sorts of reasons and bits and pieces. But you never stop learning, and I tell you, the last couple of years, trying to understand a whole new understanding about the intricacies of the race car, because you start to delve so much deeper and start to analyse things in a very different way when you're struggling to be competitive. And you know, we have been doing that a lot because a lot of head scratching too by a lot of very, very intelligent, smart, experienced people. Why we aren't being able to achieve what we set out to achieve, and you know, it's hard on everybody. It's a real challenge, but the driver does play an integral part of that, and you really do need to, because the engineer can't just do it by data and recording everything that the car does on the racetrack. He needs to be able to understand and work with the driver, and the driver needs to give very, very good feedback. And it's been interesting having Mark come on board, because he's done a couple of test days with us, and it's been great for me because you know, you start to question the feedback that you give your engineer when day after day after day after day you're not making the progress that you feel you should. So to have someone of his experience come along and start giving an input and back up what you're saying about what the car's doing, you know, is good emotionally, because you start to believe in yourself again a little bit, that you're not losing the plot and going mad. And you know, we've definitely had those moments the last couple of years where you start to doubt what you're doing, because you're not improving, you're not making gains on where you're going. So it's been really interesting having that opinion of someone you respect and knows what they're talking about come along and help in that environment. So yeah, the relationships with the team and the engineers are absolutely critical.
I think also there's a great range of capabilities in drivers. Some drivers understand what the engineers are talking about and some really don't. I can tell you from experience, every time we were at the Australian Grand Prix at McLaren, Greg was a regular visitor to our garage and understood every...
Let me touch it.
We wouldn't actually let him in very often. Yeah. But he understood every little part of the car, so I think you're probably dumbing down your capabilities a bit, because he certainly is a fairly clever engineer, leave it at that. This gentleman here.
What's your favourite track and car you've raced in the Vert Supercars?
Okay, my favourite track. Listen, I've raced on some fantastic circuits. You know, like Le Mans. I raced in Le Mans in 1996, which was an experience in itself. Unfortunately, haven't been back since. But that was a phenomenal experience in more ways than one. Obviously, it's like a little bit like Bathurst. The legend status and the history of somewhere like Le Mans is just phenomenal. So to have the opportunity to go there, you know, was absolutely amazing. But I think Bathurst is probably, and it might be a bit of a cliche, probably because a lot of people say it, but I think it's my favourite bit of racetrack in the world, and you know, it demands a lot of respect, because it is a very, very fast, exciting bit of road that if you get it slightly wrong, you make a little bit of mistake, it lets you know about it, and usually not very nicely at that. So I've got a special sort of love affair with that place. It means a lot, and I think it has a big part to do with growing up, as probably a lot of you here would probably understand. You know, that first or second weekend of October every year. You know, it's a bit of a pilgrimage for thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and to have so many Kiwis turn up at that race every year is something very special for me, and I think probably for all the Kiwi drivers. But you know, I used to sit in front of that TV, I don't know from what age. I think the one that I can really vividly remember is 1984, which was Peter Brock and the Dayglow orange and the white Marlboro sponsored Group C Commodores, and that for me, that's been embedded in my head ever since, and I never missed one from that day on. And you know, I just dreamt that would be so special to go there one day and have a look at it and be a part of it in some way. I never dreamt that I'd be there and manage to win the thing. So that means more than anything to me in my career, I think, is the Bathurst and being a part of that. As far as race cars go, you know, I'm still a purist at heart, and I don't think I've ever had any more enjoyment than driving a single-seater car fast, and no matter really where it is. And I think I got the opportunity, and it was a few years ago, to drive a champ car very, very briefly at a circuit in America, and you know, it was it was almost a shame that I got it, because I got the opportunity because I drove it, and that made it even harder, I suppose, not achieving that goal to race one, because it was the type of race car that I felt that I should be driving. But you know, there really is nothing like a single-seater, you know, Formula One car, champ car, something like that. So,
do you know, with a little bit of practice, you might be quite good at Pukekohe one day.